Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Derek, so what did you come up with, partner, to illustrate the opening of our show topic, product versus process?
Well, I thought a good illustration would be a race car for a product with a process. So this is what I found.
Oh, okay. Yeah, car's under control. Good driver. I'm sure he has a process. Pretty high speed. Making the turns. Okay, so that's product with a process. That's good stuff. What'd you come up with? Let's see, we need some video of a product with no process whatsoever.
Yeah, I looked around for a bit, and this is about the best I could come up with.
Whoops. Perfect.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and four-time author, Tony Walker.
Process, a word defined by Webster's Dictionary as follows: a natural phenomenon marked by gradual changes that lead toward a particular result, a series of actions or operations conducing to an end, and my favorite, continuous operation or treatment, especially in manufacturing. So there's a good definition of process, but since we started out this show about products as well, how might Webster's define this term product? Well, they define a product as something that is produced, marketed, or sold as a commodity. So why would a financial advisor start off a TV show about money and retirement by focusing on these two words, process and product, and instead simply do what every other financial advisor does and just stay focused on products? I mean, does the word process really fit into this equation we call retirement? Well, all I can tell you is this: that in my 38 years in the financial trenches and in meeting with more than 15,000 savers, the reason most savers worry about money and retirement is not because of the financial products they invest in. No, they worry because they do not have a process in place to understand the products they invest in. Which is why today I'm going to share with you the difference between owning financial products versus having a process in place to use and enjoy those products so you can feel successful in retirement. So, let's get started, shall we? Well, welcome, folks, to the WorryFree Retirement. And yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, product and process building specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we show you how to distinguish products from a process, let me introduce to you the folks in the WorryFree studios who have a process in place to make this show happen each week. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orender. Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson, and our associate producer, Miss Meek and Mild, Mary Beth Combs. Derek, by the way, where the heck is Mary Beth anyway?
It's right here, boss.
Oh, okay. Anyway, if you're like most hardworking savers who are retired or nearing retirement, the one thing the financial world has duped you into thinking is that there is this perfect product out there, this magic bullet that they have which will guarantee you a worry-free retirement. Yet there's a problem with putting all your hope and faith into a financial world's products, and that is this: without a process in place, some sort of written game plan that you can see, taste, feel, and monitor, no one product offered by the financial world will cure all of your worries. That's because of the thousands, yes, thousands of financial products one might choose from. If a saver had to choose between a financial product and a financial process, I would suggest that saver always choose process before product, which is why today I'm taking the rest of this show to educate savers on how to know the difference between a product and a process, and how we at Tony Walker Financial make it easy to choose both. So stay tuned. You're watching the WorryFree Retirement. I'll be right back. With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. Over the past 38 years, I've read a lot of financial books, but this one by Benjamin Graham, called The Intelligent Investor, takes the cake. Among the many important points made throughout his book, Mr. Graham reminds us that following the Great Depression, over 90% of Americans who had recently experienced the stock market crash of the Great Depression conceded that the stock market was, in their eyes, nothing more than a gamble. As a result of savers' skepticism about the products offered by Wall Street via the stock market in 1952, evidenced by this, revealed that the number of products and money tied to the stock market and our nation's debt has really changed over the years. In fact, take a look at this. In 1952, only 4% of Americans owned stock. And look at the Treasury debt. Now, the Treasury debt is how much the government owes back to the people. Again, in 1952, around $142 billion, that's with a B. Also, look at this. The Dow Jones Industrials back then only had about 100 mutual funds. So when you think about it, not a lot of people investing in the market and not a lot of products. But now we fast forward, let's take a look at this, Derek. I think it's probably higher than this, but over 60% of Americans own stocks. Look at the Treasury debt. It used to be $142 billion. Now it's $23 trillion. And finally, investors, I love this one, have over 125,000 mutual funds to choose from, and 7,600 ETFs, or what's known as exchange-traded funds. So how in the world are you going to know which products are right for you? And just as importantly, how to use these products properly so that you can better use and enjoy your money without the fear of one day running out? Well, let me ask you this question a different way by illustrating the game of golf, which, as anyone who knows anything about Tony Walker Financial and myself, I love golf.
Tony, I'd keep playing. I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for quite a while.
The funny thing about golf, on the surface, it looks pretty easy. Just grab a club and hit this little ball just waiting to be hit. But as anyone can attest to, it is not that easy at all. In fact, to keep it straight is darn near impossible. Yet when people take up golf, what is the first thing they get duped into thinking? That to play good golf, you really need a lot of good clubs or products. The best clubs, the best balls, yes, even the best putter. And when we get on the course, even with the best golf products, we find ourselves hitting terrible shots and playing awful rounds. In other words, these great products don't mean we will be successful on the golf course. No, to be successful, we need to hit it straight, and that requires a process called a swing. Oh, speaking of working on our swings, my latest personal Live While Die Broke purchase is something called a swing simulator. Check this out.
138. Wow, 213 carry with a 7 wood.
And since we're on the topic of both golf and Live Well Die Broke moments, years ago I got off my wallet and treated my son Anthony, my favorite son-in-law Trey, and my brother Marty to play world-famous Pebble Beach. And thanks goodness I got off my other wallet and paid a caddy to tag along with us to better navigate this course. You see, I learned that when you're playing in unfamiliar territory, you need a caddy or a guide who knows the lay of the land so that you can stay out of trouble. Well, guess what? Your retirement is no different. Just like golf, of course, with all kinds of obstacles and penalty areas, to be successful and enjoy the round at the golf course, you need a guide or a caddy, and if you will, that would be us at Tony Walker Financial. We're the ones that help savers navigate retirement and, yes, provide a process to help them keep score so that they know how they're doing. Okay, we got a great segment coming up as we expose how it is that everyone and his brother knows that you are either retired or approaching retirement, and how they keep pushing products over process to savers just like you, something I refer to as the marketing funnel. Good stuff coming your way. I'm Tony Walker. We're going to get the whiteboard out. We'll be right back. Wondering how much money you'll need to retire? Probably a lot less than you think. I'm retirement specialist Tony Walker, and for the past 36 years, I've helped thousands of savers determine when to retire and how much money they'll need in retirement, and I can help you too. To meet in person at no cost or obligation, let me invite you to log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call the toll-free number on your screen. We look forward to talking with you soon.
Episode 417. This is segment 3. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. And our Live Well, Die Broke moment comes to us from Nancy Ritter, who was kind enough to check out our services and noticed on my mantle in my office here in the Louisville office a Tony Walker bobblehead. And since it was her birthday, I presented this to her, and now it proudly sits on Miss Ritter's mantle. Oh, speaking of all the items I have sitting on my office mantle, one such item is a real live crystal ball that I love to refer to whenever someone is sitting in my office and says something like this. Well, I know you ain't got no crystal ball, but what do you think of that stock market, Tony? To which I quickly interrupt them and point to the crystal ball on my mantle and say, oh, yes, I do. Okay, so with the financial world well aware that each and every day 10,000 people are turning age 65, is it any wonder that they are constantly bombarding you with messages about handling your 401k and other retirement money? And as we record this show on June 1st, 2022, and the stock market bouncing all over the place, is it any wonder that many in the financial world are pitching one of the hottest and safest retirement products we know of, and that is something called annuities. So what are annuities and what makes them so special? Well, let's take a look at these. And these are products that I've been using for years, folks. So we at Tony Walker Financial are well versed in annuities. Now, the first type is called a variable annuity. We might use this very, very seldom because this is invested in the stock market, usually comes with hefty fees. For certain people that are really trying to look at some growth, want some tax deferral, we can show you how to reduce those fees really, really well. The second type of annuity is one that we're very fond of, especially now, and they're called fixed interest annuities. Now, these rates vary all the time, and they're kind of like CDs the way they work. You can usually get 3-year, 5-year, 7-year. And notice here, now this is currently as we record the show, these can change. The current 3-year annuity is right at 3.35% guaranteed. The 5-year annuity is up around 3.75, so some really good interest rates there. The third type is one of my favorites. I've got several of these. It's called a fixed indexed annuity. Now, these annuities came out in the 90s, and what they do is they do not fall with the stock market. They are actually participating in the stock market, so theoretically, you're not really invested in the stock market. So when the stock market goes up, you might make a portion of those gains, but the beauty of a fixed indexed annuity is when, not if, when the market goes down, you don't lose anything. This is why these are so popular with savers and why we sell so many fixed indexed annuities. And finally, we use these sparingly, but they still have a place. They're called immediate annuities. They're going to emulate the pension plan, and you can have them paid over 5, 10, lifetime. And there are times when an immediate annuity really, really fits the bill. Okay, so those are products, for instance. You're going to be bombarded with products, and you might say, yeah, where can I get a resource, Tony? Because I'm hearing all about these annuities. Well, again, I've written about as many annuities as anybody in the country, so I wrote this little booklet. You can get it at TonyWalkerFinancial.com. You go to the download section. Again, it's called Annuities Made Easy. Or if the internet's not your thing, if you want to call the toll-free number on your screen, we can actually mail you a copy. Just call and request Annuities Made Easy. All right, I promised you in our time remaining, I wanted to go over something I call the marketing funnel. Now, this is really interesting because many of you who are retired or nearing retirement, especially if you're over the age of 55, you're probably noticing that you're showing up on the radar of the financial world. And what happens is, if you think of yourself out here in the world, you are, whether you like to know this or not, you are a suspect to the financial world. All right? A suspect means that in the marketing funnel, they're going to throw that message out to anybody. So for instance, this show, The Worry-Free Retirement, while it's educational in nature, it's also marketing for the services of Tony Walker Financial, looking for savers who might be interested in what we do. Everybody that watches this show, roughly 20 to 30,000 households every week, according to the ratings, is a suspect for our services. Now what happens is, maybe there's something I'm getting ready to say today, or other things you hear that you think, hey, that's interesting, like the annuity booklet. I think I might look at the annuity booklet that Tony's offering. Well, then you fall into the funnel and you become what's called a prospect for the services. So again, this is how the financial world works. It's whether it's insurance companies, advisors, Wall Street, money managers, they're sending all these messages out. And you might say, well, Tony, what are these different messages? How do they reach me? Let's go over a few of these because it's interesting. Of course, we could say TV, like us. That could be a TV show, a TV commercial. A lot of people advertise on TV. Radio, we also have a radio show. Many people advertise on the radio. Incidentally, if you'd like to find out when all the different TV show times are and radio shows, you can go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. We have a listing of all of the I think we're on 7 TV stations now throughout Kentucky. 4 or 5 radio, Aaron. I know Aaron's keeps up with this. I think 4 or 5 radio stations now. So we have a wide reach in Kentucky and southern Indiana. You could go on the internet, okay? You got to be careful there, because once you start Googling around and giving information, boy, they capture a lot of your data. You've probably noticed that. You go on a website, you type in, you're looking at free golf balls or something. Well, the next thing you know, you're going to get bombarded with people from the golfing industry. It's even worse in the financial industry. So be really careful sharing information with some of these websites out there, because they're going to get you. They're going to have your information. They're going to bombard you with more stuff. We always kind of have a little fun with the dinner seminars, okay? Those are still viable. People still go there and get information. Obviously, once you go get a free steak dinner, the psychology of that is, hey, I just bought you a steak dinner. You need to kind of meet with me. There's really no pressure, but there is pressure. And in many cases, this is a great way for advisors to meet complete strangers by spending $50 on a steak dinner. And then there's also educational venues. I used to do a lot of these. I'll call them workshops. I would host workshops free of charge in hotels and things like that. Over the years, there's also been a lot of advisors that use university settings. So they'll market themselves as providing educational workshops at universities. Kind of gives them a little feeling of clout. Obviously, the universities don't endorse it. It's just another venue. So all of these different ways, there's probably some others. Keep in mind, no matter what the people are selling, okay, once you become a prospect, they're trying to sell products. It always comes down to products. Even in these educational venues or these formats or these workshops, eventually, no matter how much you think you're learning, they're there to get you to get in front of them so they can sell you a product. And in fact, Derek's built a graph out here. Let's just go through some of these products that they're trying to sell you. Well, obviously, annuities are a real biggie, especially with the market in turmoil and bouncing all over the place. And with the safety and security annuities offer, people are going to be quick to try to sell you annuities. And again, all I can say to that is, annuities are great products, but if you're not careful, you can really lock yourself down and tie your money up. So before you ever purchase an annuity, please contact us for a second opinion. Once you get that annuity, sometimes it's too late to get out of it if you get stuck in the wrong annuity. You could buy stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. You could get those directly through a broker. You could move money to somebody like us, who also manages money through our Charles Schwab platform for a fee. That's another thing you could do. You could actually go out and buy life insurance or long-term care insurance. Those are all products. But the key with all of this, unfortunately, where the process should be at the top, the process is usually at the bottom or negated altogether. So what happens is people are buying all of these products without a process. I see it all the time. So what is our process at Tony Walker Financial? How do we take all these products? How do we simplify everything? How do we get it into a process so the consumer, particularly the saver, can understand what the heck they've got and how this money is going to be used? And it's called the Split Ira Concept. And here's how it works. So what happens if you have a 401k or maybe an inheritance or a large amount of money? You have to have at least $100,000 to work the Split IRA because we have to keep the money accessible. That's where the Charles Schwab portion of our platform comes in, because with Charles Schwab, those would be stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, bank products. The fees are only 0.8% for us to manage, but more importantly, there's no penalties to get your money out or set up income. So that's paramount to have something in the Schwab bucket so that you can have access to that money. Then in most cases, in the second bucket is the Annuity Bucket. Now sometimes we do one or both, but that's where you'll either put what's called an accumulation annuity, anywhere ranging from a 3-year term to a 10-year term, or you might have what's called an income annuity, which is where we get our mailbox money from.
Mailbox money!
So the income annuity, the accumulation annuity, how much to put in Charles Schwab, that's what we as fiduciaries help you decide. So if you're sitting there right now and you're saying, Tony, yeah, I feel like everybody's bombarding me. All they're talking about is products. How do I put a process in place so that me and my loved ones can understand what I've got, and more importantly, follow this live well, die broke philosophy of yours to use and enjoy this money before it's too late? Well, that's easy, my friend. All you got to do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started button, and we will move into action with what's called a free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. And if the internet's not convenient, of course, all you got to do is just call the toll-free number on your screen. We'll be happy to meet with you and talk about your situation at no cost or obligation. Well, does the Bible have anything to say about product and process? It really does, and it introduces an interesting word called sanctification. Good stuff coming your way. Let me get another cup of coffee. I'll be right back. It is estimated that each day over 10,000 people will turn 65, which means a lot of advisors selling a lot of annuities. Don't get stuck in the wrong annuity. Get a second opinion from TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. Think choosing the right financial products for retirement is daunting? Imagine the process one must go through in choosing which religion to follow. According to who you Google on the internet, some sources estimate that in the world of religion, there are over 4,000 religions to choose from. And while I would agree that the process of selecting a religion has nothing to do with money and retirement, the religion you choose to follow does have everything to do with your faith in God and letting go of the things of this world, which is kind of related to our ultimate views on life and money. And since I don't have time to dissect and discuss all 4,000 religions we might choose from, I would like to share with you my humble opinion of what differentiates the Christian faith from all the others by rewinding the clock nearly 30 years ago as I coordinated our community's annual prayer breakfast. Now, among the wonderful speakers we hosted each year, one that I'll never forget is a man by the name of Keith Wheeler.
Keith Wheeler is known for traveling around the world with a cross. He's done it for 40 years.
Keith Wheeler is putting together this cross as he's done countless times. These are pictures of his most recent trip through towns in Ukraine.
God provided a place for me to sleep in Lviv, Chervonomorsk, sorry, I can't pronounce that one really well, Lutsk, and Kovel.
The testimony of Mr. Wheeler shared at our breakfast dealt with this very question: what is the difference between being a Christian and following another religion? Well, Mr. Wheeler told this story. For years, he would travel into remote villages and towns carrying his cross, and people would come up to him and say, "What are you doing?" And he'd say, "Well, I'm a Christian." And he found that many of the people were basically turned off and would usually turn away. So he started inquiring to people in these villages and these small towns around the world, "Why is it you don't want to hear about Christianity?" And many of them would say, well, we've already heard the message. So he started changing the message a little bit. And when he would go into towns, they would come up and ask what you're doing. And he'd say, well, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. Now, they would then say, oh, tell me about this man, Christ. So if we think of Christianity as following this man named Jesus, what is it he provides us that not only secures our eternal future, but allows us to grow closer and more holy to God as we stumble and bumble around here on earth? Well, it's called sanctification. And while we might consider Jesus the product of our faith, it is sanctification that is the process of it. And of all the many scriptures in the Bible that refer to this word sanctification, to me, the most important verse of them all is the one found in John 17:17, where Jesus simply says, sanctify them with the truth, thy word is truth. Of this verse, the late, great Charles Spurgeon says, the truth is the sanctifier, and if we do not hear or read the truth, we shall not grow in sanctification. So where do we find such truth in order to be sanctified? Well, where Jesus said we need to go, and that's God's Word, the Bible. You see, all that you need to overcome the worries of the world and the fears and anxieties and the loss that comes with it is God's truth as found in the Bible. Truth not only that guides us, but just as importantly, sanctifies us and keep plugging away until He calls us home. And that, my friends, some good news you can take to the bank. Well, speaking of having peace of mind and hope in the things of the present and the things to come, how at peace are you right now with the financial products you've invested in, and how's it going to see those products and you to the finish line? How sure are you that these products are suited for you, and how accessible to your money do they provide you? And finally, assuming you have a bunch of financial products with no process, then let's talk. My name is Tony Walker, and I would like to invite you to contact our offices so that we might learn more about your specific situation and provide details of how we can help you at no cost at all to meet. So if you're retired or thinking of retiring soon, have at least $50,000 of money to invest, why don't you head over right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and click on that Let's Get Started button. Once you do that, your information will be confidentially sent to our offices, and we will arrange a time to either talk by phone or, if it warrants, I will be happy to meet with you in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. And if the internet's not convenient, obviously you can just call the toll-free number on your screen, and we will get in touch with you soon. That's TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or give us a call anytime. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. We look forward to seeing you next week on the Worry-Free Retirement. But between now and then, if all else fails, you remember, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.